I'm back. I'm just making one more review, and then I'm done for a good period of time. Today we're reviewing the M24 CHAFFEE. Since the CHAFFEE is going to be changed pretty soon, this is what the old CHAFFEE looks like. They're going to change the turret and the gun to look different. The stats, as far as I can tell from the patch notes, are going to be the exact same. It's technically a buff, because this thing's biggest weakness is its size. They might even buff the camo value due to the change in the turret size and stuff, but I'm not quite sure. Anyway, this is the CHAFFEE. It's the only true tier 5 light tank that is left. A long time ago, back when there was only tier 5 lights, back when that was the highest tier, we had the VK2801, this, the M24 CHAFFEE, which has been changed almost dead to nothing, zero changes to this ever since it was, last time back then. And the T50-2, and then they added the ELC, which is also still in the game and mostly unchanged from its debut. But the ELC was only considered a true tier 5 light tank because of the way it worked. It was the top tier light tank as well as all the other ones. And then they built on that tree back when they added that, so that's when we first got the other tiers of light tanks. Anyway, so the VK2801 is now in tier 6, and it's been nerfed. I don't know why they nerfed it from tier 6. The T50-2 was replaced with the MT25. Anyone who owned a T50-2 got the MT25 for free. Yeah. And the ELC is more of all the other new tier 5 light tanks that aren't real tier 5 light tank scouts. Anyway, here we go. Here's the M24 CHAFFEE. It's a very nice light tank. First of all, its camo value is 14. That's pretty poor for a tier 5 light tank, especially the new ones. But it is compensated for by an amazing 400mm view range. And since that camo value for a tier 10 is extremely good, and it gets equivalent view range, this thing can spot targets before they spot you. And especially since you don't move camo while you're moving, so you can back up if you know you're too close to them without losing any of your camo. And the 745mm signal range, which is also on par with tier 9 10s. Which is, this thing does get to tier 10, so it does need that stuff. The traverse, and the whole traverse is an amazing 46. And the turret traverse is just a 39, meaning this turret cannot outturn the hull, so it can make it difficult when you're carouseling a heavy tank, which is what this thing is good at. Let's look at the gun, which is one of the best things about this thing. This is a tier 6 medium tank gun. Gets amazing 18 rounds of mana in it, an incredible penetration, great damage, accuracy is okay, and then an amazing 1.7 second aiming time. This thing's DPM is ridiculous, and it gets a 25 power per ton. Here's where this thing is let down. 56 km speed limit. Well, that isn't slow, it's not fast. So you can't use this thing as an aggressive scout that well. You're pretty much stuck as a passive scout for the first half of the game. Which, if that's not your thing, you probably shouldn't love this tank. I mean, I like this tank. It's okay. I think it's a good vehicle. The armor is garbage. Even for a tier 5 light tank, this armor is garbage. It does have good sloping on it though, and that mantlet is huge. I don't know if that mantlet has any good armor on it. But, it doesn't matter. The rest of this thing's armor is terrible. It's not even like this consistent thickness. There's weak points on this thing, too. And I'm pretty sure that clasp window's an armor hole on the whole of the vehicle. It's not meant to block shells. If you're trying to block shells with this thing, you're gonna die. You're gonna die very quickly, because they're just going to penetrate you every time. Well, this thing does have the most hit points of the tier 5s and most of the tier 6 lights. It is still not that much for what games you're gonna get into. You have already equivalent hit points for what tier games you're gonna be in. Yeah. Equipment fit. Fences, if you can run vents, always throw on vents. They help everything. It makes your strengths better. It covers up your weaknesses. It gets those stats that are average up a little bit. Vents is amazing. I always run vents if I can run vents, unless there's an option that's far better. Like if I'm driving an artillery. But most already can't run vents in the first place. Spawn liner is useless. Torso bar is useless. These things, tracks, don't have much health, and that's not going to help it. And you have more than enough load limits for this thing to get maxed out on weight. You can throw on the heaviest equipment, all that stuff, and you still won't max it out. You can take caliber kink gun armor. Isn't a bad idea to get this DPM up. Coated optics or binocs, depending on how you're going to use this thing. And then vertical stabilizer or camouflage net. Camouflage net and binocs if you're using this thing as a passive scout more. If you're going to use this thing more as a flanking light tank, which is also thing this thing can do very well, you'd probably want one coated optics and vertical stabilizer, which this thing can mount. This thing with vertical stabilizer, I've shot lulls from 200 meters and hit 90% of the time. This thing is ridiculous. Also, gunlink drive is useless on this thing, simply because you can run vertical stabilizer. And the aiming time's also really good. So this isn't helping that much. You could be mounting Valve, which is far more useful. And also helps aiming time. And toolbox is useless. Wet ammo rack is useless. Crew, 6 cents. Whether using this thing as a flanker or a passive scout, whatever you're using this thing for, 6 cents will always help. Eagle Eye is not a terrible idea. I mean, I'm running Eagle Eye simply because of Deadeye perk I have loaded. Camouflage is valuable, and Brothers in Arms is a valuable crew skill. Recon, yeah, Gunner, you're gonna want Deadeye. If you're gonna run Eagle Eye, you want Deadeye as well. And snapshot isn't a terrible idea either. You probably want snapshot on that. Off-road driving, you want off-road driving. This thing can't outrun even some mediums, so to outrun your vehicle enemies, you need to make quick maneuvers. Simply because this thing's horsepower is so amazing, and with this, you can lose so little speed by turning. You can just turn around very fast corners, and they lose all their speed, and you rush off because they've lost all their speed trying to catch you, and you haven't lost any of yours. Controlled impact is terrible. This thing does weigh 20 tons. The majority of the things you fight will be weighing anywhere between 40 to 200 tons, so that's useless. Smooth ride is a great idea, but I didn't run that. Clutch braking isn't a bad idea either. Radio operator. Central awareness and relaying. Signal boosting isn't a terrible idea either. Man loader, all these loader perks are pretty much fucking useless. None of these things are gonna help you. I don't know why I threw on Adrenaline Rush. I'm probably gonna retrain that guy. But I still have that. I'd probably replace it with, now I think about it, there's nothing else here I can replace it with. None of these things are useless. So I guess that's it. I guess the tuition would be better than that skill, so. But yeah, that's pretty much the vehicle. This thing's a great passive scout and a great, flanker. Flanking isolated tanks is what this thing is good at. Yeah, that's the vehicle. After this, I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna move on to. I might move on to some Minecraft videos, or some theories in games or something. Or maybe some Team Fortress 2 videos. I'm not sure. But, yeah, this is probably going to be my last review for a while. I might make one of the Panzer 1C. Or one of the Carl. Simply because of how freaking ridiculous this thing is. Maybe even the 2T light tank, which holds the record for the best horsepower per ton. I think that T1E6 was really close to holding the record too. But yeah, that's pretty much the vehicle. I guess I'll see you next time. Bye.